Good morning, everyone. I hope you all are doing fantastic today, and welcome to our presentation on taking the rail with Amtrak Vacations, your alternative to flying. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Nick Bennell, and I have proudly been with Amtrak Vacations now for just over 6 years. It's very exciting, and I'm very excited to be here with you all today. Got a lot of great information to touch base on, so definitely stay tuned, and stay tuned towards the end of the presentation today as well as one lucky person will win a $100 Amtrak Vacations gift card. So something to definitely look forward to. Before we hop right into all the information, please don't forget to download the handout where that top arrow is pointing. It's going to have a lot of great and useful information in regards to what we got going on with Amtrak Vacations, as well as if you have any questions throughout the presentation today, please input those questions into the questions box where that bottom arrow is pointing, and I will be more than happy to answer any and all questions towards the end of the presentation today. So let's hop right into it first and foremost and ask what makes Amtrak Vacations different. Well, there's several reasons for that. First and foremost, traveling by rail is a bucket list experience. In fact, we surveyed all of our travelers last year as to why they chose traveling with Amtrak and Amtrak Vacations, and the number one consensus answer we kept seeing was that it was a bucket list trip. If you think about it with your clients, for you all have done the ocean cruises, you've done river cruises, you've done trips to Disney, you've done the all-inclusives, and you've done those escorted tours all throughout Europe and Asia, and you're looking for that next adventure. Something fun, something different, something unique. The rail can satisfy each and every single one of those needs. Room to roam. Take me know about being in a motor coach or in an airplane where you really can't get up and move around. With Amtrak, it's the exact opposite. You're actually encouraged to freely move amongst the train. Get up, visit the cafe car, visit the dining car, or visit my personal favorite, the observation car. There's less hassle. There's none of this business about checking in 24 hours ahead of time or showing up 2 to 3 hours before your departure like you would with a flight. No. How does 45 minutes to an hour sound? I can tell you that is the average time people will typically show up prior to their Amtrak departure, truly making it as hassle-free and as worry-free as possible. There's city-to-city service. Now, I love this because one thing I dislike are those long airport transfers. Sometimes you fly into a destination, you have up to an hour-long drive to get you to where you need to be. Well, with Amtrak, it's the exact opposite, as Amtrak typically puts you right into where you want to be, city center to city center. Look at New York Penn Station, for example. It's right in the heart of Midtown Manhattan. Look at Chicago Union Station. It's right in the heart of the loop of downtown Chicago. Or Los Angeles Union Station. It's right in the heart of downtown LA. You can start your vacationing off on the right foot by starting your trip right where you want to be. Satisfy your hunger. Now, this we'll touch base on in just a little bit later. I just want you all to know that whenever you do upgrade to sleeping accommodations on board at Amtrak, meals are automatically included, and you won't want to miss out on that, as the food on Amtrak is fantastic. And lastly, flexibility. One of the best parts about our vacation packages is they have the ability to operate almost on a daily basis. With just the exception of a few of our seasonal national parks, almost every package we offer operates daily, so you all can travel truly when you want to travel. It's not like the cruises where there's select sailing dates, or the escorted tours where there's select start dates. Now, I love showing this map because it really amazes me at how extensive Amtrak's system really is. In fact, Amtrak services 46 out of the 48 continental states here in the U.S., with the exceptions of South Dakota and Wyoming. And last year, Amtrak set their ridership record with over 33.5 million passengers. To put that into perspective, if Amtrak was an airline last year, Amtrak would have been the 6th most flown airline in the world. Definitely goes to show you that rail travel is in demand. There's no time but now for you to experience it firsthand. Now, keep in mind, folks, you might ask, where do these vacation packages start? Well, luckily for you, all of the rail vacations can be customized to start from your hometown. There is over 500 Amtrak stations throughout the United States and Canada, and any of our packages can start and or end at your local train station. Now, what a lot of people will do too, if you wanted to, you can fly to your start destination and or fly home from your end destination. It is completely up to you, so keep that in mind. If you wanted to fly to a starting point or fly home from your end spot, you can absolutely do so. And keep this in mind throughout the whole presentation today. Everything has the ability to be customized and tailor-made. You're allowed to tweak, modify, or do anything that you want to one of our itineraries to really make it fit to what you want to do. You can combine itineraries. You can start from your hometown. You can create a vacation package, make a vacation package to your liking. Take, for instance, this is a really wonderful option, taking our Essentials Yellowstone to Yosemite Park package, which does a night in Salt Lake City, 2 nights in Yellowstone National Park, as well as 2 nights in San Francisco. Well, maybe you figure, man, I really want to be here on the West Coast. I want to take one of the most scenic routes on board the train. I've never been to the Pacific Northwest. I'm in the area. You know what? Let's extend our trip out and maybe combine that with our Pacific Northwest package and take the overnight train from San Francisco and then do 2 nights in Portland, Oregon, as well as 2 nights in Seattle, and really enhance that vacation package. A lot of people will do that. Or perhaps taking our Rails to the Grand Canyon package, which is one of our most popular Grand Canyon itineraries, combining that maybe with a couple extra nights up at the South Rim, maybe at the El Tovar, which is one of the most majestic lodges in any of our national parks. And then maybe you figure, I've never been to the Southwest. You know what? I'm going to add on a couple nights in Los Angeles and add some sightseeing in as well and really enhance this vacation packages as well. Keep in mind that we have the full ability to customize and tailor make any of these vacation packages to your liking. Now, one of the best parts of traveling by rail is you actually could see the country from the window of a train. If you think about it, folks, we really have every type of landscape imaginable here in the United States. We're really lucky. We have beaches and coastlines. We have big mountain ranges. We have big cities. We have prairies. We have plains. We have deserts, swamplands. We have evergreen forests. We have rainforests. We have small town America, and every last bit of it can be seen and enjoyed from the comfort of an Amtrak train. It truly is the best way to see the United States. So with all that said, let's hop right into some of our top itineraries for 2019 that allows you to skip flying and take the better option by taking Amtrak. So all aboard, everyone, and I'm very excited to share this first package with you, as it's been one of our top selling packages for the past 2 years. It is our Grand National Parks with Yellowstone, Yosemite, and the Grand Canyon. Now, this trip has been incredibly popular for 2 reasons. First off, it visits some of the most iconic national parks here in the United States, and B, it visits and utilizes some of the most scenic routes on the Amtrak system. So this trip starts off out of Chicago. We do the overnight train on the California Zephyr from Chicago to Salt Lake City, Utah, where we arrive the following evening. When we get into Salt Lake City, we're going to do 1 night in a downtown Salt Lake City hotel. The next morning, you will take the Salt Lake Express, which is a motor coach transfer, which will take you from Salt Lake City, Utah, up to West Yellowstone, Montana. And when we get up to West Yellowstone, Montana, you will do 2 nights located in a centrally located lodge right in the heart of West Yellowstone. Now, while you're in West Yellowstone, you get a full-day tour of Yellowstone National Park's lower loop, which I can tell you firsthand, I just did that myself back in October, and that tour is phenomenal. You will see a lot of the major sites that Yellowstone is famous for. So you will see Artist Point at the Grand Canyon of Yellowstone, as seen on the bottom left. You'll see the Old Faithful. In fact, it's guaranteed you'll see the Old Faithful guys that erupt on the right-hand side. You'll see the painted pots. You'll see the Grand Prismatic Springs, and the amount of wildlife you'll see is unbelievable. When I did that tour, I saw probably over 100 bison. I saw 11 wolves in a pack. I saw bald eagles. I saw elk. I saw coyotes. I saw so many different types of wildlife all on one tour. It was tremendous. After our fun up in Yellowstone is all said and done, we will then hop on that Salt Lake Express motor coach, take that back down to Salt Lake City, where we then catch an evening train, an overnight train on the California Zephyr, as we arrive into San Francisco, California the following afternoon. When we get into San Francisco, we're going to do 2 nights in a downtown San Francisco hotel. And while we're there, we get a full-day guided motor coach tour to Yosemite National Park. Now, you all won't have to worry about getting yourselves to and from the park. The tour will pick you up, drive you out to Yosemite, and you get a full-day comprehensive tour of the Yosemite Valley. After our fun in San Francisco and Yosemite are all said and done, we will then hop aboard Amtrak's most scenic train. In fact, it's been voted the most scenic train in North America the past 3 years. We're going to hop on the Coast Starlight, and we're going to leave San Francisco that morning, and we're going to arrive into Los Angeles, California later that evening. And when we get into Los Angeles, we're going to do 1 night in a downtown LA hotel. That next morning and afternoon, you're going to have a guided sightseeing tour of Los Angeles, which will highlight a lot of the key sites that LA is famous for. And then after the tour that evening, we're going to hop aboard Amtrak's Southwest Chief Train and do the overnight train from Los Angeles to Williams, Arizona, where we arrive the following morning. And when we arrive into Williams, we're going to arrive the following morning. And when we get into Williams, we'll switch right over to the famous Grand Canyon Railway, which is the antique steam train that will take you all from Williams up to the south rim of the Grand Canyon. Now, I love this train journey as it enhances your train vacations. Not only do you get the Amtrak experience, but you get that classic antique steam train experience as well. And there's a reason why this train has been operational for over 110 years. It actually passes through the largest ponderosa forest in the state of Arizona. Once we get up to the south rim of the Grand Canyon, we are met by a motor coach for a guided tour of the Grand Canyon South Rim that will highlight a lot of the famous sights to be seen up at the South Rim. And then you'll actually spend one night up in one of the lodges in the Grand Canyon Village once you're up there. After our night in the South Rim is all said and done, we will then hop back on board the next afternoon, the Grand Canyon Railway, and we will take that from Williams back from the South Rim back down to Williams. When we get back down to Williams, we're going to do one night at the Grand Canyon Railway Hotel, a really famous property, a completely train-themed property too. It's really exciting. The next day, next morning, hop aboard the Amtrak Southwest Chief and do the overnight train back to Chicago. So this trip is 13 days, 12 nights, and within that time frame, you get to visit 3 amazing national parks. You get the sightseeing tour of Yellowstone National Park's Lower Loop. You get the sightseeing tour of Yosemite National Park out of San Francisco. You get a city tour of Los Angeles. You get round trip on board the famous Grand Canyon Railway, as well as you get the motor coach Freedom Tour of the South Rim. All in all, 8 nights hotel, 4 nights on board the train, and yes, those 4 nights on the train are in coach accommodations, which we can absolutely upgrade to the sleepers, where you will get a private room with beds, shower access, and meals on the train included. So really amazing package, very popular, and I can tell you this has been one of our top trips for the past 2 years. Now, I'm very excited to share this next trip with you as it is brand new for us. That's right. It is our Grand National Parks Discovery on the California Zephyr. We literally just put this package out about a month and a half ago, and it has already taken off like crazy. It's incredibly popular since we launched it. This trip starts off out of Denver, Colorado, where we do 2 nights in Denver, right where we want to be in the Mile High City. And while we're there, we get a full day tour of Rocky Mountain National Park, which is really the must-see sights to be seen in the state of Colorado. It is absolutely amazing. Once our fun in Denver is all said and done, we'll hop on the Amtrak California Zephyr train, do a couple hour long train as we go from Denver to Grand Junction, Colorado. When we get into Grand Junction, we'll do 1 night in Grand Junction, right in the centrally located hotel. While we're in Grand Junction, the next day you will be picked up by a private transfer / sightseeing. Now, this transportation is going to take you from Grand Junction, Colorado, down to Springdale, Utah. But en route, as you go from Grand Junction to Springdale, you're going to stop off at both Arches and Canyonlands National Parks, 2 amazing national parks. Get to do sightseeing of both of those. Once our fun in those, we'll arrive into Springdale, Utah, and we'll do 2 nights in a centrally located hotel in Springdale, Utah. And then the next day, on your full day in Springdale, you're going to have a full day guided sightseeing tour of Zion National Park, one of the most visited national parks here in the United States. After our fun in Springdale and after our fun in Zion is all said and done, we are then going to hop aboard that sightseeing transfer once again and take that transfer back up to Grand Junction, Colorado. And this time en route, we're going to stop off at both Capitol Reef and Bryce Canyon National Parks, so you get to experience those national parks as well. We'll then arrive back into Grand Junction, do 1 more night in a Grand Junction property, and then the next day, you're then going to hop aboard the Amtrak California Zephyr and do a couple hour long train from Grand Junction to Salt Lake City, Utah. When we get into Salt Lake City, we're going to do 1 night in a centrally located hotel in Salt Lake City. The next day, you're going to do that Yellowstone bit when we go up to Yellowstone National Park and still get the 2 nights up in Yellowstone, where we get the full day guided sightseeing tour of Yellowstone National Park's Lower Loop. Once our fun in Yellowstone's all said and done, we'll then take the Salt Lake Express back down to Salt Lake City and then hop aboard the Amtrak California Zephyr and do the overnight train from Salt Lake City to San Francisco, where once again, while we're in San Francisco, we'll do 2 nights and we will get the full day tour of Yosemite National Park, which you won't want to miss out on. This tour is fantastic as it really is a comprehensive tour of the Yosemite Valley. It's really beautiful, as you can see in that picture on the top left. Absolutely gorgeous up there. So this trip is 13 days, 12 nights. You get sightseeing tours of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 national parks, all on 1, 8 national parks, all on 1 vacation package. You get sightseeing tours of Rocky Mountain National Park, Arches, Canyonlands, Bryce Canyon, Capitol Reef, Zion, Yellowstone, and Yosemite. Really amazing trip. You won't want to miss out on this. It does include one overnight on board the train, and that one overnight is in coach accommodations, which we can absolutely upgrade to the sleepers. Now, I'm very excited to share this next trip with you, as it has been one of our top selling packages for the past 7 years. That's right, it features one of our most popular destinations, if not our most popular seasonal destination. That's right, Glacier National Park. This is our Glacier National Park Express. This trip is fantastic. This trip starts off with 2 nights in Chicago, right where we want to be in downtown Chicago. While we're in Chicago, we will get the Shoreline Sightseeing Architecture Cruise, which is the boat ride that'll bring you down the river in Chicago, and it highlights a lot of the famous buildings and skyscrapers that Chicago is known for. In fact, Chicago is the birthplace of the modern skyscraper, and this tour highlights a lot of those famous sites. Once our 2 nights in Chicago are all said and done, we then hop aboard the Empire Builder, the most northern route on the Amtrak system, and we go from Glacier Park, or from Chicago on the overnight train to Glacier National Park, where we arrive the following afternoon. When we get into Glacier National Park, we're going to do 3 nights at Glacier National Park at the Glacier Park Lodge, which is the oldest and most historic of the Glacier Park Railroad hotels. It's an amazing property. It's actually the oldest hotel of the Glacier Park Northern Railway property, so it's tremendous. And the best part is, as soon as you step out of the lodge, or step out of the train station, the lodge is only situated 209 steps away from the lodge. So you get to walk from one to the other with ease. While we're up in Glacier Park, we get 2 tours. First off, we get the Two Medicine Valley Boat Cruise, which is a boat ride along the base of Two Medicine Valley. Really beautiful area of the park, but we also get the Big Sky Circle Tour. Now, the Big Sky Circle Tour is the main tour of Glacier National Park. It's a full-day tour that utilizes the Going to the Sun Road, which is the main stretch of highway that runs right through the middle of Glacier Park. This really is the best tour that Glacier Park has to offer, and it definitely is the most comprehensive that the park has to offer as well. And the neat thing is, the tour utilizes and uses these red jammer buses, as seen right on the bottom left. These are the famous red jammer buses. What they are is they're World War II era open-top extended out Jeeps. They're absolutely neat, and this is the premier way to see Glacier National Park. After our fun in Glacier Park is all said and done, we then hop aboard the Amtrak Empire Builder, and we do the overnight train once again as we go from Glacier Park to Seattle, where we arrive the following morning. And when we get into Seattle, we're going to do 2 nights in a downtown Seattle hotel. And while we're in Seattle, we get a couple different things included. First and foremost, we get a sightseeing tour of the city of Seattle, but we also get admission to the Space Needle and the Chihuly Garden Glass Museum. Now, the Space Needle, of course, is Seattle's most iconic landmark, and then you also get admission to the Chihuly Garden Glass Museum. Now, for those that aren't familiar with Chihuly, Dale Chihuly is this really fantastic artist that makes these beautiful glass sculptures that look like flowers, and this is in plants, and this is his headquarters museum, and it's situated right at the foot of the Space Needle. This trip is 10 days, 9 nights. We get the Architecture Cruise of Chicago. We get the Two Medicine Valley Boat Cruise and the Big Sky Circle Tour while we're in Glacier National Park. And while we're in Seattle, we get a Seattle City Tour, as well as admission to the Space Needle and the Chihuly Garden and Glass Museum. This trip is one-way Amtrak and coach accommodations. It's 7 nights hotel, 2 nights on board the train. And yes, those 2 nights on the train are in coach accommodations, which we can definitely upgrade to the sleepers, where your clients will get, and you all will get a private room on the train. Sleeping accommodations, you get all your meals included on board the train as well. Now, maybe necessarily you don't really want to visit the national parks, but maybe you want to just take in maybe some of the best of the United States by train. In fact, we have packages called our rail experiences, which really put the focus on the journey rather than the destination, as we tend to keep the hotel and destination stays at a minimum on these trips. And the best one that we offer is called our Grand Rail Experience. Now, this trip is incredibly epic, as you can see, because it visits almost every single corner of the continental United States. So this trip starts off out of Chicago, where we do the 2-night train on board the Empire Builder as we go from Chicago all the way to Seattle, where we arrive 2 days later in the morning. When we get into Seattle, we'll have a hop-on, hop-off sightseeing tour of Seattle, which will take you around the city on a big loop, and you can get off and on as you please at all the different sites and attractions. And it's really fantastic, too, as it will take you by the Space Needle, the Chihuly Garden Glass Museum. It will take you down through Pike's Place, where you can visit the famous Pike's Place Market. And if you're a coffee lover, this tour actually does a stop off at the original Starbucks, which is tremendous. After our 2 nights in Seattle are all said and done, we're then going to hop aboard the Coast Starlight, that most scenic train on the Amtrak system. And we're going to do overnight, do that train in its entirety as we go all the way from Seattle down to Los Angeles, where we arrive the following evening. And when we get into Los Angeles, we're going to do 1 night in a downtown Los Angeles hotel. The next day, you will have a hop-on, hop-off sightseeing tour of Los Angeles, which will take you around the city on a big loop, and you can get off and on as you please at all the different sites and attractions that LA is famous for. And then that evening, we're going to hop aboard Amtrak's most scenic, the most scenic southern route. It's called the Sunset Limited. And we're going to take that train from Los Angeles, a 2-night train, all the way from LA to New Orleans, where we arrive 2 days later. When we get into New Orleans, we're going to do 2 nights in a downtown New Orleans hotel, typically in the French Quarter or on Canal Street. And while we're there, we get a guided sightseeing tour of the city of New Orleans that highlights a lot of the famous sites and attractions and the rich history that New Orleans does have. After our fun in New Orleans is all said and done, after our 2 nights is all said and done, we'll then hop aboard the Amtrak Crescent train, and we're going to do the overnight train from New Orleans to Washington, D.C., where we arrive the following morning. And we're going to do 1 night in a downtown Washington hotel. While we're in Washington, D.C., we are going to have one of my favorite sightseeing tours of all time. It's the Monuments by Moonlight tour. Now, this is an amazing tour. I've been all around the world, and this is by far one of the best tours I've ever done. It's a nighttime tour that will take you by some of the famous memorials and monuments of Washington, D.C. You actually get to see them all illuminated at night. It's a really inspiring tour. I highly recommend it for if you ever plan on going to Washington. This is probably the best tour out there. After our stay in Washington is all said and done, we are then going to hop on board the Amtrak the Capital Limited. We're going to do the train from Washington, D.C. back to Chicago, an overnight train. So this trip is 2 weeks long, 14 days, 13 nights. We get hop-on, hop-off tours of both Seattle and Los Angeles. We also get the sightseeing city tour of New Orleans, as well as the Monuments by Moonlight tour of Washington, D.C. You get 6 nights hotel, 7 nights on board the train, and yes, those 7 nights on the train are in coach accommodations. You're definitely going to want to upgrade to the sleepers, where you'll get a private room with beds, shower access, and meals on the train included. Now, maybe you want a train experience like this, but maybe you just want to go coast to coast. Well, keep in mind, we have some really amazing options for that as well, like our great American majestic landscapes. This trip is fantastic, and it's been one of our most popular coast-to-coast itineraries for years. This trip starts off in New York City, where we do 2 nights in the Big Apple, the city that never sleeps. And while we're there, we get a multi-day hop-on, hop-off sightseeing tour, which will take you around the city of New York on a big loop, and you can get off and on as you please at all the different sites and attractions. It's going to take you on the Uptown Loop, the Downtown Loop, the Brooklyn, the Bronx, and the Nighttime Loop. You get all that included. Once our 2 nights in New York are said and done, we are then going to hop on board the Lakeshore Limited, and we're going to take the overnight train from New York all the way to Chicago, where we arrive the following morning. And when we get into Chicago, we are going to have a couple different things included. First and foremost, we are going to have a multi-day hop-on, hop-off sightseeing tour included, which will take you around the city of Chicago, and you can get off and on as you please at all the different sites that Chicago has to offer. But you also get the Chicago City Pass, which will get you admission into some of Chicago's top attractions, such as the Sky Deck over at the Willis Tower, the second tallest building in the United States. It can be seen on the top right. It'll take you to the Field Museum of Natural History, which can be seen on the bottom left. It will take you to the Art Institute of Chicago. You can go to the John Hancock Observatory, the Shedd Aquarium. There are so many amazing options on the Chicago City Pass. After our fun in Chicago is all said and done, we are then going to hop aboard the California Zephyr train and do the overnight train from Chicago to Denver, Colorado, where we arrive the following morning. And when we get into Denver, we're going to do 2 nights in a downtown Denver hotel. And while we're in Denver, we are going to have a full-day guided sightseeing tour of Rocky Mountain National Park, which you'll be able to experience at least one national park on this tour. After our fun in Denver is all said and done, we're then going to hop back on board the California Zephyr, do the overnight train from Denver to San Francisco, where we arrive the following afternoon. And when we get into San Francisco, we're going to do 2 nights in the downtown San Francisco hotel. And while we're there, we are going to have a full-day guided sightseeing tour of wine country. That's right, we get to do a motor coach tour of both Napa and Sonoma wine countries. This trip is 12 days, 11 nights. We get a hop-on, hop-off tour of both New York and Chicago. We get the sightseeing tour of Rocky Mountain National Park, as well as the tour of Napa and Sonoma wine countries while we're in San Francisco. And to top it off, too, while we're in Chicago, we get the Chicago City Pass. This trip is one-way Amtrak and coach accommodations. It's 8 nights hotel, 3 nights on board the train. And yes, I'll say it again, those 3 nights on the train are in coach accommodations, which we can absolutely upgrade to the sleepers. Now, keep in mind for all of these packages, you can choose the hotels that work best for your needs. We work with hotels ranging from 3 to 5 stars. So it doesn't matter what type of traveler you are, we have the perfect hotels for you. Now, maybe you want to visit just a single destination. Well, keep in mind, we have some really tremendous options for those as well. Perhaps like our Arches and Canyonlands getaway. It does 3 days, 2 nights, 2 nights in Grand Junction, Colorado, and you get that full day guided sightseeing tour of both Arches and Canyonlands National Parks. Maybe you want to go visit the city that never sleeps. This is our most popular New York vacation package, hands down. It's our New York City Ultimate Getaway. It's 4 days, 3 nights. We get 3 nights right in Midtown Manhattan. And while we're there, we get a hop-on, hop-off sightseeing tour, as well as dinner at a popular local restaurant. I highly recommend a restaurant called The View. It's the revolving restaurant atop the Marriott Marquis Hotel in Times Square. Get some really amazing meals there and get some really tremendous views of the New York skyline as you eat. And last but not least, you also get the New York City Pass, which will get you admission into a bunch of New York's top attractions, like the Empire State Building. You can go to the Metropolitan Museum of Art, the 9/11 Museum and Memorial. You can go to the Guggenheim, the American Museum of Natural History. It even includes a journey on the ferry out to the Statue of Liberty and Ellis Island. And lastly, always an amazing option, the city of New Orleans. This is by far our most popular trip for the Big Easy. It's 4 days, 3 nights right in the heart of downtown New Orleans, either in the French Quarter or on Canal Street. And while we're in New Orleans, we get a couple different things included. First and foremost, we get a set of choices between either the Swamp and Bayou tour, the Hurricane Katrina tour, the Steamboat Notches Evening Jazz Cruise, or the Oak Alley Plantation tour. I always recommend doing the Steamboat Notches Evening Jazz Cruise, just for the simple fact it kind of kills 2 birds with 1 stone. Not only do you get the journey on board one of those big old-fashioned paddle wheel boats, but you get to listen to some of that live jazz music that people flock to New Orleans to hear. On top of that, too, we get dinner at a popular local restaurant. I highly recommend a restaurant called Two Jogs. It's a restaurant we work with. It's actually the second oldest restaurant in the city of New Orleans. And we also get the New Orleans visit ticket for 2 days, which is a pass that'll get you all into some more than 25 of New Orleans' top attractions. So you not only get admission into you get admission to the San Francisco Plantation House, Blaine Kern's Mardi Gras World. You do a Cajun and Creole cooking demonstration. You can go to the World War II Museum. You can go to quite a few different destinations on there as well. So really amazing options for sightseeing in New Orleans. So I know I've been mentioning a lot about the destinations and packages, but what about the train experience? So let's hop right into that and take what you know about packing for the airplanes, because quite realistically, Amtrak has by far the most generous luggage policy in all of the travel industry. Each passenger is allowed 2 pieces of carry-on luggage up to 50 pounds each bag, 2 pieces of check-in luggage up to 50 pounds each bag, as well as a personal item. So figure along the lines of a backpack, briefcase, pocketbook, purse, or even a small duffel bag. And the best part about all of it is that's all standard. And the best part is that can all be checked in up to 45 minutes prior. It's not like the airlines where it has to be there 2 to 3 hours ahead of time. No, Amtrak, 45 minutes. It's really as hassle-free and as rush-free as possible for you. And I know throughout the presentation I've been mentioning a lot about sleeping accommodations and coach and upgrading, but what exactly does this all mean? So let's hop right into that. And the first thing we're going to cover is coach seating, which as you can see is a pretty standard seat on board the train. But take what you know about airplane seats and picture the exact opposite. The coach seating on Amtrak is very comfortable. The seats themselves are typically double the size of your standard airplane seat. They recline at a 45-degree angle, and they also have a leg rest as well. And the legroom is uncomparable. In fact, last year I traveled with one of my colleagues who's 6'6". He could fully stretch his legs out and still have room to spare. Good luck finding that on the airlines, and if you do, you're paying quite the premium. Once again, this is standard on board the train. Now, one of the best parts about Amtrak, once again, is you have the freedom to get out of your seat and move around. It's not like an airplane where you're stuck in this tiny, uncomfortable seat for hours on end. You can't get up and move around. With Amtrak, it doesn't matter if you're in coach or any of the sleepers. You have the ability to get up and freely move amongst the train and visit the different cars, like the cafe car, the observation car, and the dining car. Now, coach seating is great. However, meals are not included, and neither is shower access. And if you're doing a night or more on board the train, you're probably going to want to eat and take a shower. So where do we go from the coach seats? That's right, we upgrade to the roomettes. The roomettes are by far the most popular type of sleeping accommodation on board the train. During the day, it's two big seats that face each other with a big picture window in between and a fold-out table in between. At night, the two seats convert to the lower bed, and right above where this lady's head is, the top bed pulls down. Now, keep in mind with the roomettes, meals are absolutely included. However, the bathrooms and showers are located down the hall. And they are private but shared. So, yes, you will be sharing them with the rest of the people that have roomette accommodations in the same car, but they're private. Once you're in there, you're in there. There's a lock on the door. It's not like a college dormitory where people are coming in and out. And the neat thing is, it's a full-size bathroom with a full-size shower. Now, you might say, Nick, this sounds great, but is there a way I can get my own bathroom in room? Why, yes, you can. We can upgrade you to the bedrooms. The bedrooms are a little bit bigger than the roomettes, and it's a bit of a different setup. So during the day, it's more of a sofa-style seating, like where that lady is sitting, with an extra captain's chair as well, like where that gentleman is sitting. At night, that sofa-style seating converts to the lower bed, and right above where this lady's head is, much like the roomettes, the top bed pulls down. Now, the bedrooms have the exact same amenities and accommodations as the roomettes. However, the main differential is the bedrooms do have a private toilet, sink, and shower in room for your use and your use alone when you have the bedroom accommodations. Now, I know I've been mentioning a lot about dining and meals included, but what exactly does this all mean? Well, we're going to hop right into that. Take what you know about airplane food and picture the exact opposite, because the food on Amtrak is actually quite nice. And you'd be amazed at the quality of meals that is served on board the train. So take, for instance, for breakfast, for example, there's pancakes and waffles, bacon and eggs, omelets. For lunch, there's juicy cheeseburgers, grilled chicken salads, and pasta dishes. For dinner, there's fish, there's chicken, and of course there's Amtrak's signature dish, which you can see right on your screen, the Amtrak signature steak, which I can tell you firsthand, I've had it 2 nights in a row once, absolutely loved it, and I know you all will too. And the whole process with dining on board the train is really neat. As soon as you board the train, the dining car attendant will come by, set up reservation times that you want to eat your meals. When it's time to eat, you head down to the dining car, take a seat in one of these big comfortable booths with a white linen tablecloth layout, and you get to order from a menu and from a server like you would at a restaurant. So really, if you think about it, Amtrak isn't just transportation, but it's a restaurant, a hotel, and sightseeing all on the rails, all rolled up into one amazingly unique experience that you're all going to love. And we barely scratched the surface of what we can offer to all of you. If you pay a visit to our website at amtrakvacations.com, it'll bring you here to our main page. From here, there's a couple different ways you can navigate through and see all of our different vacation packages. The best way is to hover over where this top red arrow is pointing. That will bring you to our destinations, and you can drop that down and go through destination by destination and look at every single package we have to offer. While you're on our website too, please feel free to visit the blog section. You can revisit all of our previous webinars that we've offered. You can literally visit every single one. We have all of them on there from previous ones. So if you want to learn about different topics or anything like that, definitely feel free to utilize that. As well as don't forget to visit our trip planning section. It's going to have a lot of great and useful information in there in regards to meals and dining, luggage requirements, accessibility and special needs, as well as please feel free to visit the onboard the train section. That's going to actually have on there the Amtrak virtual experience, which is going to offer really amazing views, and it's actually going to offer 360-degree views of every single room and car on board the train, really giving you the first-person perspective of what it's like to be on an Amtrak train. Now, how do you book with us? You can give us a call at 1-800-268-7252. One of our amazing vacations consultants will be more than happy to arrange your dream rail vacation. You can book through our website at amtrakvacations.com, or what I always recommend and what I would always do, give a call or better yet, pay a visit to your local travel agent, and they will be more than happy to help set up your dream rail vacation. I can tell you firsthand, I use my local travel agent for any of my personal travels. I highly recommend you do the same. They are one of the best resources in the travel industry. As well as keep in mind, we offer some really great everyday discounts. If you're traveling with any children ages 2 to 12, the kids get a 50% discount off the rail portion of an Amtrak Vacations package. If you're a senior traveler age 65 and over, you get yourself 10% off the rail portion of an Amtrak Vacations package. And lastly, if you're active duty military, you, your spouse, and your dependents get a 10% discount off the rail package of an Amtrak Vacations package, just as a thank you for your service. Now, before we wrap it up for today, please don't forget to download a handout where that top arrow is pointing. It's going to have a lot of great and useful information in regards to what we got going on for today, in regards to our packages and what we can offer to all of you, especially with our new national parks. And now's the time. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to input those into the questions box. I'm going to answer those right now. But before I do so, I have to name our winner of a $100 Amtrak Vacations gift card. And today's lucky winner of an Amtrak Vacations gift card is going to be Karen Dumbolton. Congratulations, Karen. Job well done. And for the rest of you, keep trying. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask away, and I will be more than happy to answer those questions. So let me scroll all the way to the top. I have a question here from David and Jerry Brown. Can we get off a train and reboard a few days later on the same travel package with the same accommodations? Yes, you can. You just want to set it up with us ahead of time so you can absolutely guarantee what you want to do. A lot of people will do that where you say, I want to get off here first, spend a couple days, and then get on the train. We can absolutely do that. Just let one of our vacations consultants or your travel agent know, and we can set that up for you. Karen, if I take the Coast Starlight going north, can your agents arrange a hotel and tickets to the Hearst Castle? Yes, we can. We actually have some really tremendous packages that include the Hearst Castle in Paso Robles, California. So we can absolutely set that up for you. Yvonne, when the train stops for the overnights in the stations, is a hotel included? While you would get off the train and spend nights in a hotel, the train keeps going. Those trains don't really stop in it. They stop in a station and essentially pick people and drop people off. But it's not like you would necessarily. But unless it's one of the places that you get off as part of the vacation package, then you would spend a couple nights hotel, and we arrange that for you. Mary, when you get to a destination, how close are we to the nearest car rental so we can explore the area? A lot of the times, too, the car rentals are in the nearby vicinity. Some stations in the United States do have a car rental in the station. It all depends, though, on the in particulars, but they're usually not too far away. Cassandra, is it possible to do a church conference on the train? I'm sure it's possible. I've never heard anything like that, but, it might be possible. Let's see. Yvonne, can an oxygen and concentrators be delivered and exchanged throughout the trip? They would want to be prepared and have them on them. They can absolutely bring their oxygen tanks and their concentrators. They just want to make sure they're prepared and have them ready to rock for their vacation package. They can't, trade them off during the trip, so they want to have enough that would necessitate during their vacation. David and Jerry, would you describe in any detail from Chicago to Portland and Seattle with modifications to travel the Oregon coast and also include the stopover at Glacier Park? So what I would do for that, I would take the train from Chicago to Glacier Park, do the overnights on the train on the Empire Builder, do 3 nights in Glacier Park, then do the train from Glacier Park to Portland. And then from there, you could explore, Oregon, and then you could go up from Portland, Oregon, up to Seattle on the Cascades train. It is completely possible. A lot of people will actually do that. Yvonne, is wheelchair access available at hotels and motor coaches? Yes. All the hotels we work with are ADA approved, so your clients are, if you are traveling in a wheelchair, keep in mind that you can absolutely feel free to do that. That's not a problem. Let's see. Michael's asking from San Jose to Sarasota for just train information that you would want to reach out to Amtrak Direct, not Amtrak Vacations. Christine, can physically challenged be easily accommodated? Yes, Amtrak does have really fantastic handicap accessible rooms on board the train. They are big enough to accommodate someone that's permanently in a wheelchair. The rooms are actually quite spacious. They actually have a lot of space because they do have enough space for someone in a wheelchair. And they're nice. They're really, really nice. They have a private toilet and sink in room with a shower just right outside the door. Let's see. Debbie, in order for me to get a price that includes sleeper accommodation, do I need to call to get that? Yes, or visit your local travel agent. Maria, in most slides, is only one meal included, but keeps saying that all meals are. Yeah, so all meals while you're on the train, whenever you upgrade to the sleeper, while you're actually on the train itself, are included whenever you upgrade to the sleepers. The meals that are referenced during the slideshow where it says like, oh, one meal included, that's actually in destinations. Abby, are combat veteran discounts available? Unfortunately, no, not through Amtrak. Unfortunately, I wish they were, but it's unfortunately not my call. I wish it was. Catherine, are all hotel reservations and excursions reserved by Amtrak Vacations? Yes, we handle all the sightseeing and hotels and all of it for you. We package it all together for you. Diana, are the bedrooms large enough to accommodate 2 adults and 2 children? No, I would recommend they're big enough for 2 adults and 1 child at max. If we're doing 2 adults, 2 children, you'd probably want to do the bedroom suite or 2 roomettes. I'd recommend the 2 roomettes if you're trying to keep the cost down. Dennis, how much is a typical sleeper upgrade for a single traveler? That I do not know the exact answer because the pricing can honestly truly vary. The pricing with Amtrak itself is predominantly based upon availability. So chances are the further out you book, chances are the costs are going to be a little bit lower. Because there's going to be more abundance in space. Gary, can Amtrak guest rewards points be used in any form of these packages? What is the best way to use the points? So we unfortunately don't have any relation to Amtrak guest rewards. So the only thing we can really do is put your number in so you can get the credit for the points, but we can't actually utilize any of your points. That you would want to contact Amtrak guest rewards directly. Hey, Lynn, I appreciate it. Thank you so much, and you're welcome. Thank you for your kind comments, and thank you for joining us. And yeah, I appreciate that. Lynn had some really kind words about the webinar. Dennis, how much is parking available at main stations? Honestly, it can vary from station to station. The thing is, Amtrak's the parking at the stations are actually usually third-party companies, so they kind of dictate their own pricings. So it can honestly vary. It can really vary. So it's one station is going to be completely different from the next station. Annette, can I singularly book a roomette? Does it cost more? Yes, you can book a roomette as a solo. Eric, can trips be started from San Antonio? Yes, any of our vacation packages can be started from any of the 500 Amtrak stations throughout the United States or Canada. Ted, how do you get from train stations to hotel? You are usually responsible for your own transportation to and from train station and hotel. Sometimes the hotels do provide a complimentary shuttle. Sometimes, often enough, the hotels are in walking distance. So it really depends. But usually you are on your own for that, which isn't a bad thing. So usually it's a quick little taxi ride. I've seen this question come through. So Ryan and Lynn both asked the question in a row. Wi-Fi, is it available? Wi-Fi is not available on the long distance routes. Amtrak is working on it, but as you can imagine, putting Wi-Fi on a cross-country train is quite the procedure. So Amtrak is working on it. All the regional routes, so like the Northeast Regional, the Acela, the Pacific Surfliner, the Saluki, Blue Water, Wolverine, the Missouri River Runner, all of those do have Wi-Fi though. So all the very short regional routes do, the long distance routes do not. I have a question here about washer and dryer available. Not on the train, unfortunately, but in the hotel, a lot of the hotels we do work with, they do have their washer, laundry service, so you could utilize that, but not unfortunately on the train. And also I have a question, can one purchase a shower pass in coach purchase a shower pass? Unfortunately, no. They do not have access to those at all. You need to have a sleeper to have access to the showers. Joshua, I have to have a gluten-free diet in the dining car. Can they accommodate? Yes, you would just want to let us know, or your local travel agent if you choose to book through them, as well as your server on board the train. Like you would at a restaurant, and then they can do their best to accommodate to your dietary restriction, most definitely. Mary, if there is a problem with your seating, is it possible to change? Do these? Yeah, I mean, if you wanted to, change, like if you're in coach and you wanted to switch, as long as it's available, you can work with us as well, and we can definitely make that switch for you if it's available. That they do fill up quite far in advance, though. Dennis, do single travelers somehow share sleepers with another traveler? No, you will not be paired with a stranger. You will have the room to yourself, which is fantastic. Hey, Moro, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Jackie's asking about rail and sails. Yes, we do offer rail and sail trips. They're utilized. Do have a partnership with Norwegian Cruise Lines that we actually set up the cruises to Alaska. So you would take the train to Seattle or Vancouver, and then you take the Alaskan cruise up there. It's a really fantastic trip. So you get the best of both land and sea. So it looks like we are out of questions for today. I want to just thank you all for taking time out of your busy days and mornings to learn a little bit about what we got going on. If you do want to take a look at some options, book anything, or if you do have any questions or concerns, please feel free to visit our website or give us a call at that number on your screen. One of our amazing vacations consultants will be more than happy to assist you in any way that they can. Or visit your local travel agent. They're one of the best resources out there, hands down. We are doing another one of these presentations, I believe, a week from today. So please feel free. You'll see the emails come through. Feel free to join us. I believe it's on Yellowstone and Yosemite, so you won't want to miss out on that. I want to thank you all once again. I hope you all enjoy your day. Have a great rest of your week. And until next time, everyone, take care. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.